roaring. Not long ago, the doors opened up, so if there's lots of noise behind us, that's the reason why. Because there'll be lots of, I think it's fair to say, nervous Arsenal fans coming in tonight ahead of the game.
Yeah, a little bit optimistic as well. You've got to believe. I mean, there's no point in us fans or players going up there and believing you're just going to get rolled over. Because if you go up there with that type of attitude, you will get rolled over, because arguably they're probably the best side in the world, certainly up there. But also got an opportunity. We've seen teams, I know one team, Brentford, got success, and we've all kind of pinned your hopes on that, and they were brilliant that day. But their game plan, they executed it really well. Arsenal going into this game, they've got good players. They're top for a reason, because they've been better than Manchester City this year. But it comes down to crunch time, and we've seen Manchester City handle these occasions better in the past, and it's about Arsenal going that they're really believing and trying to get a result.
Do you feel, as I said earlier on when I spoke to Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs, that I said this is, I think, the biggest game Arsenal have had since that 2006 Champions League final? Would you agree with that? Do you think most Arsenal fans would agree? The reason I say that is because I really do feel that if there is a winner tonight, and I know it can be a draw, if there is a winner tonight, that's the team that will go on to win the Premier League.
I can understand that, because Arsenal if Arsenal win and they go 8 points clear, Man City will have still two games in hand. But at least if Man City win those 2 games, then there's still a 2-point deficit, still got a 2-point gap there. But for Arsenal, I think a draw is not enough. I think they have to go up there and win, because of how dangerous Manchester City are. Certainly in the run-in of every season, we see them run down Liverpool twice with record amount of points. We've seen them do it time and time again. So for me, and listen, Arsenal in all competitions haven't beaten Man City. Have won the last 7 in all competitions, so they've got to go out there and do something they've not achieved for a long, long time.
You're listening to Drive on talkSPORT with me, Andy Gosling, Darren Bent alongside. We are in the Tollington Arms in North London. If you're around, why don't you come into the pub? We'd love to. Well, Bentley would love to say hello to you.
Why not you?
I'm not insured to meet the general public. You know that, Bentley. Now let's hear from the Arsenal gaffer, shall we? Mikel Arteta has been speaking ahead of tonight's massive game in the Premier League. He said, "It's great to be competing with City, but competing isn't enough."
You look across Europe in the last 6 years, a team that is been able to consistently get the amount of points in 6 seasons like they did, then the next one is very, very far apart. So for us to be able to be toe-to-toe with them is great. But it's not enough, because we want to win it. So we need to find a different edge, and now that we are here, we're going to go and win it. And to do that, excellence is the only thing that is going to take you where we want.
Are we going to find out a lot more about Mikel Arteta tonight?
No, I mean, I wouldn't put it that way, as in learn more about him. He's done great things for Arsenal since he's been at the football club. He's already picked up a trophy, and he's running the current champions right to the wire. So I don't think you'll learn anything more about him, but you've got to admit, he's been in and around this environment, because he was at Manchester City under Pep, so he knows exactly what it takes. And I said it before, the other players are going to have to lean on the likes of the manager, Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, certainly them two on the pitch, because them two have been there with Manchester City. They know how they work. They've won trophies there. They've been successful there. So other players are going to have to feed off that. But I think Arteta will have them set up in the right way. For me, he's not looked nervous or apprehensive all season. And I think he'll be the exact same tonight. But the Arsenal players have just got to believe they can go out there and get a result for sure.
He's got some decisions to make. I think the big decisions are going to be with regards to who maybe plays centre-half, because you've got the threat of Haaland.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to move Ben White to that centre-half position, who plays at right-back? I know you and I have chatted about this numerous times. I know Thomas Partey is an option, but then you're taking, one of your most important players out of the midfield area. What would you do with the back four?
Well, it's a difficult one, because obviously no Saliba, which is massive. And Rob Holding's done okay to a point, but you hark back to last season when the wheels started to come off for Arsenal a little bit, where they had the result against Spurs. Rob Holding got himself sent off in the first 30 minutes, too tight. He gets over-emotional at times, Rob Holding. So I think I would probably opt to take him out. I would probably put Ben White in a centre-half alongside Gabriel, and potentially put Thomas Partey at right-back. We've seen him do that for Ghana. And then you've got the option at left-back. Do you play to Kieran Tierney and then move Zinchenko, who plays for Ukraine, in that midfield, alongside Jorginho, and then Odegaard doing his thing? So there are options, but the fact that there's no Saliba is massive. And even Tomiyasu, by the way, because I think if Tomiyasu would have been fit, he would have started at centre-half.
If you play Zinchenko at left-back, do you then play Vieira alongside Jorginho?
Yeah, again, and he wasn't great against Southampton. Looked weak, looked lightweight, took too long on the ball. The game kind of passed him by. So he's certainly got some options there. Zinchenko looked comfortable when he plays that role well. He's an inverted fullback, but he plays in centre midfield for Ukraine. But it's Thomas Partey, as you said, legs in that middle of the park. Do you sacrifice that and put him at right back? He's got big decisions to make.
Yeah, your front three sort of picks itself, doesn't it? Saka, Jesus and Martinelli. Does that mean Trossard for you will start on the bench?
That's the thing, because you almost look and go, do you put Trossard in the midfield? But you can't, because you can't go to Manchester City with Odegaard and Trossard. too offensive. So Trossard might have to buy his time again and potentially, or it may be Martinelli potentially, but he scored the other night. So I think Trossard will start on the bench.
Okay. Where do you see the biggest problems for Arsenal? Do you see it down the right-hand side? Is that why you would play Thomas Partey to sort of stop Jack Grealish? Is that why you would put Ben White centre half to stop Haaland?
Yes, because I think if you're Haaland, I genuinely believe that he'll look at the weakest centre half, which is, again, no disrespect, Rob Holding, and he'll just attach himself to him. Because we saw Haaland bully Gabriel and Saliba at the Emirates earlier on in the season, and there are 2 starters. Rob Holding's not the quickest; it's a little bit rash. Haaland will just attach himself to him, so I would maybe go Ben White and maybe Partey at right back.
Okay, that's stopping you losing. How are you going to win the game?
Comes down to the front 3: Saka, Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus. They've been great all season. Gabby obviously had a bit of a period out injured, but Martinelli's, I think, 15 goals this year. I think Saka's 12 or 13. You're going to have to rely on them guys. I know Odegaard's magic is to see a pass. It's going to have to come from them 3. Yeah. But Arsenal are going to have to play at their absolute maximum to get something from this game tonight.
But I expect Arsenal to raise the game. They're obviously going to have to, but we've seen it before, probably most noticeably with Liverpool. They haven't had a great season, but when they play the big heads, I know you're going to talk about Man United getting beat 7-0, but they have, when they played the big hitters, if you like, they have managed to raise the game. This is the game where Arsenal are going to have to go to the next level. If they want to become champions, I think tonight is the game they're going to have to perform like champions.
They are. They're going to have, as I said, they're going to have to play at their absolute maximum. They're going to have to ride a bit of luck as well, because one thing you can't do against Manchester City, you can't stop them getting chances, because they'll always make chances. But you've got to play at your maximum, get in their faces, really cause them problems. When you get the opportunity, you've got to take it. You look at the home game, for instance, first half, Arsenal brilliant. Nketiah had a header, 5 yards out, he put it wide. Whole complex of the game could have changed. Manchester City second half, stepped it up, won the game 3-1. Arsenal, they can get something from the game, but they're going to have to be at their very, very best.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.